going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome to YoTimmy, the first episode of the new series that we're going to be producing. Producing is probably a strict word, but we're going with it anyway. Screw it. YoTimmy, we're just going to do a segment every day, 2 days, where we're going to pile up some questions, whether they be stuff I've seen or things or topics I want to talk about, and then we're going to compile them in a mini show, aiming for these to be around 5-10 minutes, bite-sized, quick in, quick out, and we're off to the races. That's an old term, but it's pretty nice. So just first of all, I want to talk about my day. It's now 1 p.m. I don't think that really has any massive significance for a lot of people, irrespective of what's going on, but woke up what I would refer to as late, even though I was up all night, essentially, up until around 2:30 a.m. last night, because Bob decided that he wanted to wake up, so that was stressful. But this morning, woke up, dropped him off at daycare, got some coffee in me, and we've been doing stuff ever since. So we got in a short stream, played some Tarkov, had a really good first map, which first time going back to the game in a few weeks, and I took out 4 scavs. Normally I just poop up the engagement process and I just die, and I'm just like, what the hell? Things were clicking, which was really good. So short stream, really nice. It was awesome. Moved into some more. So my current theme with just a giant text across it is I'm starting to improve myself on this sort of journey that I want to go on in regards to stepping out from working for somebody else, and working for myself, building that sort of career for myself in that sense. Not that I feel like I've accomplished or I've done everything that I want to do for somebody else. There's still a whole heap of learning I can do, and I'm going to continue to do until the moment where I decide that I don't do it anymore. But I want to do this thing on the side, to really start to help foundationally with life and where I'm at. So there's some sort of personal development stuff that's going on, and me just being on a personal journey, which has been really, really cool. There's been a few insights that I've found. There's some improvements I'm making, and there'll be one of those which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but I've been reading through Limitless Jim Quick's book, so I've actually just got it right here. Not a plug, I just have it here. It's all about unlocking your superpower as a person, being able to learn, rewriting different lies that we've told ourselves. Lies, probably poor term, but Jim does a really good way of expressing that, and lies, in that sense, we go from there. So that's been a really sort of good book. I'm probably a third of the way through now, just a little bit over a third of the way through. Learning a whole heap in that, tackling a few of the major problems that I've had going on. Leading off of that or segment into probably the last week, I think it's the last week and a bit now, I've sort of been on this weird downward spiral, which I sometimes have, which is a whole lot of different. I'm saying a lot, which is sick. Again, I'm learning. I'm picking these things up. I'm identifying them as we're talking. Something for me to focus on while doing this, and that's why we're here. We're here to improve, and every day. So I'll continue to take notice. I'll continue to make more effort to improve that. Think before I speak is a term that a lot of people use and a lot of people sprout, but the context behind it, thinking before you speak, I don't think a lot of us do that really well. We're all a lot of fly off the cuff, say this in an instance because that's what we are, that's our sort of bread and butter, so we can just talk about it. So I think that's a really cool thought. Good sequence and good conjunction too. But yeah, this last week has been a bit of a spiral, and thankfully I'm on 2 weeks off, which is nice. So it's been a bit of a rough 2 weeks, or like a week and a bit. but we're slowly coming out the other side of that, and I'm happy about that. That's what I'm driving for. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is stay present, be mindful of what's around me, where I'm at, what's going on, keeping myself centered. I've been trying to meditate, although poorly. Famous Yoda quote sits in my head now, which is try not, do or do not. I think that's the quote. Roughly from Yoda, Star Wars fans out there, you all know what's going on. So I've been doing that poorly. I kind of try to do that at night before I go to bed, but because my bedtime varies, it's really weird. So I'm gonna try and adjust that to the morning time. So the first thing I do when I wake up is come in, sit down, meditate for 15-20 minutes, get myself right for the day, practice mindfulness, set a to-do list, and just start hammering through. Something that a lot of people don't talk about or probably don't understand is, I didn't understand until a few months back, my current last boss, had this notion that he mentioned to me, which was positive momentum. So as a new starter, it's all about, instead of taking something that is like a mouthful to try and bite and chew, takes you a long time, it's breaking that down into small subsections that you can deliver quickly, and you can just build upon that. So it's one thing. You focus on one thing at a time, you knock it out, you deliver it, bang, you move on to the next. You've then got that present in your mind that you've completed that task, and you just slowly build on it. So in a period of time, you can look back and go, look at all these things I've completed. Now I'm ready to start taking bigger bites out of the pie and delivering it that way. And that's something that I have failed to do in my everyday life. I try and tackle a massive project all at once with nothing, and I take a big bite, can't do it, get thrown off the other side, and then I sit there and go, well, what am I meant to do now? Instead of breaking it down right down into the small parts and then incrementally doing, okay, I'm going to do this, and over time you build, and that then not forces you, but it shows you, shit, I'm actually doing something. I'm actually achieving something as I go. And that comes down to setting goals. Something, again, reminiscent of the spiral I've been in, downward, tragic, whatever you want to call it, is a plan I started, and I called it my life plan. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird name for it, if that makes sense, but it's my future plan. And I broke it down into 3 parts. There was, one seems a bit weird. The 2 main parts are life and business. And the thing in life, or the thing in the last 12 months, we'll call it 11 months and 3 weeks, is I've realised that the thing I'm meant to be here for is my boy. Turns 1 in a week. Actually, it's not a week anymore. It's like he turns 1 on Friday. So for context, that's 4 days away or 5 days away. It's been a whirlwind of a ride. It doesn't feel like 12 months, but it is, and it's lordy. People say, how do I say this? A lot of people say having kids is worth it. And as a non-parent, somebody who hasn't had a child, you're like, you're telling me about these, like, you're not sleeping during the night, you look tired all the time, you're doing this, you're doing that, your passions, your hobbies, your life gets put on hold while you raise this kid. A lot of people just don't see the upside. You can't portray that upside to someone. You can't tell them what it's like. And then you have them and you're like, oh shit, fuck. So you try and explain, it's like, it just is. Just trust. It just is. And the thing about it now, there isn't a really succinct way of me saying, or me expressing what it's like to be a parent. God, it's challenging. Some nights you just want to sit in bed and cry. That was last night. I had a bad time last night. But there are other times where you literally just can't stop smiling. Even Now, cool, he's at daycare. Do I miss him? Yes. Even though he's been there for 4 hours. 4 hours? Just over 4 hours. There's a part of me that wants to just be around him all the time. There's nothing that I can do, and I want to build something around that feeling, that no matter what time of the day, what time of the night, how I feel at this present moment, there's always this love and compassion for what I'm doing, and I would love to spend more time with him. And part of that comes down to how I want to set this up. So there's 3 parts. There's life. What I can do to make sure I'm getting the best out of me personally and physically is like out of my body. So feeding me the right things, taking the moments to be present in the moment, being mindful, reducing stress levels. Part of it being, how do I exercise, or when can I get an exercise to do that? And then the second and third parts are what can I do to bring in money where I'm not a slave to the 9 to 5, where I'm not having to commute for 30 minutes each way, roughly, every day to get to work and home. How do I take that time out of my day, put that back into family time, or being flexible enough that if I wake up at 4 a.m., or he wakes up at 4 a.m. and I put him back to sleep, and I don't want to go back to sleep because broken sleep, all the rest of it, when can I just sit up and grind out work stuff, and then later on, when I get like an hour, have a quick nap, and then power through the rest of my day? So that's the 2 part to the plan, right? There's the business, the money income stream, and then there's the life portion. So I've been writing this document. It's currently at 4 or 5 pages. I'm spitballing ideas around what business can I provide, whether it be a service related business, physical product, online product. Me as a software developer by trade, do I build something for someone to fix a problem? And then the bigger question is the why. Like, what's the bigger problem that I'm trying to fix for these people? What am I trying to assist them with? What fundamental problem in the human world am I trying to fix? And I think that's another big question is, well, the why. The more and more I'm starting to learn about certain things, or just humans in general, extrinsic or money or like all these other things, they have a short-term gain. Long-term, it's not really a big thing. Whereas intrinsically, something internal to you that's a passion that you want to drive and you want to go, you get a whole lot more reward out of that. And I think that's the thing that I want to tap into more. I've spent so much time, again, I'm still fairly young, but I've spent a lot of time working for someone else to make them rich. Cool, I get some experience out of it, that's great. That can help me find the next job. But are they really making sustainable change? Like, what are they changing to make this world a better place? And I want to find that thing for me. So yeah, that's the 2 parts to that. So I have a whole heap of lists. Again, comment down below if you've got some ideas on, hey, what are some of the massive world problems that we could build, or do you have a successful online service that you provide that people buy and purchase and use, or do you sell a physical product, and how did you come across that physical product, and what were some of the challenges? So make sure you comment down below if you have any ideas around that, or you have some first-hand experience. The last thing I want to talk about today is a sort of productivity hack. I want to call it a productivity hack. It's a way of working, which is the Pomodora technique. Again, don't quote me on where this idea was fundamentally found, but the long and short of the process is you break up your time. So we all know that when learning, or when we're consuming content, whether that be digitally, whether that be reading a book, I found this super helpful while reading a book. So it's helped me churn through some content through reading a book. The longer you're reading for, your attention span starts to wane. You don't retain as much information. You don't gather as much. And what a lot of people find is if they go work for too long, they become burnt out. Doesn't matter what sort of a break you have, doesn't help at all. So one of the big things that a lot of people use is the Pomodoro technique. In the instance that where I'm working, I'm using a 25 and 5. So I go 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So that's 25 minutes of consuming, reading, doing all the rest of it, and then 5 minutes off where I'm doing something else, taking a small break, walking away, coming back, that sort of a setup. And I'm finding that to be quite useful. There are also some other techniques around that, which is writing down. So at the end of your 25 minutes, writing down everything you've learned, bullet point, shorten down, provide context for yourself, so then you remember. And then when you come back, reading through those notes and revisiting what you'd covered in the last period of 25 minutes. So there's some studies that have proven that we as humans understand more at the start of a session and right at the end of a session. So that's where that becomes really cool. So you can gather that sort of information there. And again, that's just one technique I'm using at the moment. I've been trialing for the last few days while reading a book because I've found it difficult previously to stay focused while reading a book. I generally find myself 3 pages in, my brain is going everywhere. It's all over the table. And that becomes really hard. Another really cool technique that I'm learning from Jim as he talks through his book is while you're focusing on a task, focus on that task. If you have something that comes in that is important but not urgent, so you don't immediately need to context switch or move over to this information, write it down. So, which I think is a cool thing. Insanely, write something down. You've got a phone, voice memo it. Say, Joe Blow, I need to call Joe Blow and do this, blah, blah, blah. Or write it down, or if you're on Slack, a lot of companies use Slack nowadays. There's a message for you, or you can mark that conversation as unread and come back to it. I think there's a whole lot of productivity hacks where you can just quickly see something. It's important, I do need to come back to this, but it's not urgent. I don't need to look at it right now. You make sure that you've notified yourself that you'll come back to this, and then send that information and ship off, and wholly and solely focus on the task you're looking at. One of the biggest things that I think I've only just started to learn about myself is my ability to context switch. I've never had the ability to context switch. I used to think I was really good at doing 5 to 6, maybe 10 things at once. Turns out I wasn't. I was just going crazy on caffeine and just bouncing between things. But there is something to learn in there, which is being able to pick up information and using it and getting yourself assimilated back to what you were. Perfect. Woo! Awesome. I've gone a little bit longer than I would have first expected, but 18, 19 minutes, around that 20-minute mark isn't too bad. I will be trying to potentially keep these to around 15 in that moment. Quick, painless, all the rest of it. Otherwise, peace. Have fun. And thank you for watching the first YoTimmy episode. We will catch you in the next one. Peace out. Peace out.